LinkedIn is an absolute gold mine for your business. You probably know that. You might even be posting content on the platform, but the problem is you're not seeing the inbound leads and the revenue and the new clients that you thought you'd see. Now, when I survey companies and they're having the same problem, in most cases, they're just not posting the right type of content there. But in this video, I'm gonna have you take a little stroll with me and we're gonna solve this problem. I'm gonna show you exactly the type of content you should be posting if you wanna win clients on the platform and build your brand, what mediums work best, text, picture, video, how the LinkedIn algorithm works and how to use it to your advantage. And if you hang around to the end, I'm even gonna show you my sneaky little tactic that I use on some of my LinkedIn posts to drive inbound leads the same day I make the post. All right, now come on, follow me. We got work to do. All right, so let's begin by talking about what type of content should you be posting on LinkedIn if you want to generate inbound leads and win clients there. And to do this, we're gonna take what most 7- and 8-figure businesses do and just completely reverse it. So instead of just thinking about how do I promote my business and my products and services, let's start thinking about what would your dream clients need to see and hear in the feed from you in order to reach out to you and take the next step in becoming a customer. Because they find you trustworthy enough and credible enough to where they think that you can help them solve their problems and get them to where they want to go. Now, in just a little bit, we're going to dive into the details on how to create this content, what types of content and all that good stuff. But for now, I want you to think about this because I want to stick on just the messaging and how you approach your customers on the platform. A lot of your customers are either in two buckets. Number one is they don't understand that they have this big problem or it's not on their radar. And the second one is they are aware of their problem, but they're just not sure how to go about solving it or who to partner with to solve it. And so what you need to do as a business when you start thinking about what type of content to create on the platform is think about where is your customer at from a mentality, a mindset perspective. And then what you want to do is you want to cater your content to where your customer is at. For example, at a certain point in time, we noticed that a lot of our best customers, when we looked at our dream clients, the ones that we've gotten the best results for, the ones that were most fun to work with, when we looked at those clients and studied them, we noticed that almost all of them had created some form of content before, specifically video. So they weren't customers that had never done any type of content before. They were customers that understood the value of creating content, of building trust and credibility with their clients, the power of social media. They understood the why behind it. They just needed help on the how. They needed a push in certain cases where it's like, hey, you've been trying to do this for 6 months, 12 months, whatever the case may be. You're not getting the results that you want. Here is why. And by the way, if you want to expedite that process and guarantee yourself to get results, just partner with us. So a lot of our content became more of the how-to, or the, hey, you're in this position now and you're not getting the results you want. Here's what to do, or here's why, or here's some of the adjustments you need to make. Or we tell a client success story of, here's a client who is struggling with this. They were trying to do it themselves. They understood the value behind it. They understood the why behind it, but they couldn't seem to get the results they want. So here's what we did together in order to get them over that hump. Now, of course, we still create some content around the why, right? Because we want to, maybe it's a new channel or there's a new perspective or there's something new that we want to showcase to our audience. That's more of the why content. We're going to show them why this matters so much and why they need to be doing this in their business. But because we've studied our customer and we've understood their mindset and where they're at, most of the time, we can kind of cater our content to that audience and that specific mindset. So I want you to deeply think about that before you just start jumping into a lot of your content. You need to get inside the heads of your customer. Where are they at? What are their pain points, their desires, their dream states, their fears, their insecurities? And you need to play directly to that. Call that out in the content and then educate them at a deep level. Share insightful things that will help them go from here to here. Because if you get them from here to here through your content, they're gonna now know that, well, if I partner and pay this company money, they're gonna get me 20 levels up from that because I leveled up through their free content. So that's the messaging part of your content. That's what you should be talking about on LinkedIn. Okay, and to make this clear, I'd probably just write down your 2 to 3, we call them content pillars. So what are the topics that you're gonna talk about over and over on the platform? And I think about what do you wanna be known for? Now, obviously this should be your area of expertise and it should tie directly back into your business because that's why we're on the platform, right? We wanna generate inbound leads, build brand, and win new clients and drive revenue. So again, that's the messaging part of LinkedIn. Now let's talk about the delivery of that content. So this is how you package your message up and you deliver it in the feed to where people don't scroll past it, they stop on it, they consume it, they engage, and they take action. And specifically here, we're talking about what type of content performs best on LinkedIn: video, text, or picture. Here's what you need to know about all of these. I'm gonna go through each one of these and grade them on creation and performance. So let's start with text post. They're really easy to create. It's one of the biggest benefits. They can be really fast to create. You don't have to get on camera. You can create them from virtually anywhere, your mobile, your desktop, you're traveling, and they still perform really well on LinkedIn. And I'm gonna explain in just a minute on how to actually craft these text posts so that they perform. Now, the downfall to text is that it's limited in terms of your ability to build a relationship with your audience. They can't get a sense of your personality. They can't tell if you're legitimate or not. They can't tell if even someone else is writing it or not. They're not gonna jump on a call with you 3 months into seeing your text post and be like, I feel like I know you. They've never seen you before. They've never heard you talk before. So there's definitely a barrier in terms of how deep you can go with your audience, which is why picture and video is really important to your overall LinkedIn strategy. The other downside of text posts is that if you're just creating text, it's harder to repurpose that content. You create a text post for LinkedIn, you're not gonna be able to take that text post and put it on TikTok or YouTube. So my recommendation with text posts is do 1 to 2 a week. So let's talk about pictures and graphics now. This could be a picture of yourself, you with a client, it could be a carousel, it could be a framework that you're sharing. What I love about pictures and graphics is that it basically takes the text post and it gives it much more emotion and a deeper level connection in a lot of cases. So if you're doing a picture post where it's you or you and a client or family or something like that and it ties back into your business, that picture should bring the emotion out in the text. So it's not like you're posting random pictures and then just doing a text post to go with it, or you're doing some corporate stock looking image. It is not going to hit. It's going to fall flat. But if you're telling a story about how you started your business and where you're at now, or how you worked with the client to get them results, and you tie in a picture, which gives that post so much more emotion now and realness to it and authenticity to it, well, that's probably going to perform very well. What I also love about these too is even if you're doing a carousel or a framework, it's not a picture of you or somebody else. Sure, there's potentially less emotion in that, but now you can go deeper from an educational standpoint where a lot of people are visual people, right? So if you can lay out the framework or show them the step by step, for a lot of people, that's much easier and more fun to consume than just the text alone. And again, with these, you can sit behind a computer or your cell phone and pretty much create these from scratch. So there's still very minimal effort in a lot of cases. You got to know how to write good copy and craft the pictures and all that good stuff, but there's not a ton of effort and they perform really, really well. And I would argue that the visual posts are some of the highest performing posts on LinkedIn and can generate a lot of inbound lead opportunities if done right. The downside to these is, yeah, you've gone one level up from the text post because now you've got a visual to go with it, potentially a picture, but it's a still. So it's not, you're not engaging with the audience, right? They're still not getting that level of depth or relationship that you can with something like video. So my recommendation with pictures and visuals would be to post about 2 or 3 a week. And keep in mind, with everything I recommend here, there's always wiggle room. There's always, it depends on your content strategy and you as the creator, you want to leverage your strengths and things like that. But I'm giving you the general advice here. Now let's talk about video. So when it comes to video on LinkedIn and you notice the background has changed, I've moved settings, and this is very strategically. Actually, I just forgot to record this part and then I had to go back and record this. And this is the thing with video, right? As much as you plan and you prepare and you write things out, you bullet point things, there's gonna be things that you miss when you're doing video. So part of that is, hey, do I need to absolutely include this? Is it okay that I missed this? Is it okay to move on without saying this specific thing? Can I do it in other videos? There's a little bit of that you're gonna have to be okay with, to say, hey, probably everything that you make, there's gonna be something that you miss. But when it comes to this, I felt like it was too critical to the video aspect of LinkedIn where I had to go back and remake this and just insert it in the actual video. I found myself talking a lot about why video is important, and I really didn't dive into like the tactical, like, okay, what type of videos should you make? And see, me as a creator, I think one of the reasons I've had a lot of success, because I put myself in the shoes of the audience. When I watch a video, the only thing I'm thinking about is you guys. And if there's one macro level thing that you take away from this video, and I know this is on LinkedIn and what to post there, but just trust me on this one. If you can truly put yourself in the shoes of your audience and only think about them for every second that you make the video, from the hook to the message to the way you add edutainment and mix things up and bring your personality on camera, just really make it about the audience. Really make it about the people you want to serve. You'll never have to worry about getting if you stay giving. So video on LinkedIn. From a tactical standpoint, it used to be that you did square boxes. You did 1x1 videos. A lot of people did 16x9, which is more of the YouTube style. But now what we're starting to see a lot of is vertical videos. Shocker, right? And so that's the 9x16. The same type of videos, yes, that you would see on TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. And the reason for this is because I think it's something like 65 or 70% now plus of people are on mobile anyways. So mobile, you're gonna get a lot of real estate in the feed. If you're on the desktop, it's gonna look kind of weird, at least as I make this today, where you'll have like the boxes, the fuzzy boxes on each side. You wouldn't have that if you made a 1x1 video, but for a lot of people, they're reposting a lot of those same videos on other platforms. So it just makes sense to go vertical like everyone else is. For the most part, and there's definitely exceptions to this, but I would say try to keep the video 60 seconds or less, especially if you haven't built up a good following and a significant audience or buy-in, because remember, it's a feed-based platform, meaning no one's expecting to see your video. And just like we're gonna do in our copy or our picture post, the first couple seconds, you gotta nail it. It's gotta be punchy. There's gotta be that hook. You gotta address the audience right away. Let them know what is in it for them. You're not gonna start off just because it's a business platform and introduce yourself and say, hey, my name's Alex, I'm the founder of Impact Spark. Absolutely not. Just pretend you're on stage, right? And instead of a keynote that maybe is 30 or 45 minutes, you've got 60 seconds to deliver something very impactful. And the audience can leave at any time to go watch other people. So in the first couple seconds, if you start going, and this is my company, this is me, and so what I wanna talk about today, no, none of that stuff. Get right into it. So let's say your target audience is CEOs at 8-figure businesses. You may jump out right in the first couple seconds and say, well, here's why most CEOs of 8-figure businesses are failing when it comes to X, Y, and Z. Or here's how you do X without having to sacrifice Y. Or again, you go back into storytelling mode, or maybe it's a story about yourself and something that you've overcame, or it's a customer success story where you're talking about where they started, the journey they went on, the transformation they went through, and the result they got. So 60 seconds or less for the most part. We're doing vertical, 9x16, and we're following a lot of the same principles that we would with copy or picture. A lot of people ask me too, do I need a thumbnail for my LinkedIn video? You do not. For LinkedIn, it's a little bit more like TikTok or YouTube Shorts. Typically people are scrolling and that video is gonna play pretty quickly. For the most part, I would not worry about thumbnails, but if you wanna put a little extra time into doing it, it's not gonna hurt you, it's probably gonna help you a little bit. I would definitely mix up your environments too when you make videos. Don't just shoot the video in your office 50 times in a row. Get outside, get to a different part of your place or office or whatever it might be. Shoot some videos on the go because we're human creatures and we are stimulated by what we see. So it's the message that you deliver that's the number one most important thing. The environment and even some of the editing really matters on LinkedIn too. Now the downside to video is that yes, it is more challenging to make. So it takes more time and effort and energy to create, but that's why the outputs are so much better than just text and picture. My recommendation on LinkedIn for video would be post 2 to 3 videos a week, even with video and pictures. And I've got to say this though, because this is one of the most underrated aspects of LinkedIn content is copy, the text. Even if you're doing videos, even if you're posting pictures, your copy, the text that you write matters and literally could be the difference between a post going mini viral or viral and a post completely flopping. You could take the same video and if the copy is really great on this one and it's not great on this one is going to significantly outperform this one. I've seen it happen time and time again. So yes, the video matters itself, but the copy also matters too. So I told you earlier, I'd give you some tips on how to create good copy or good text post on LinkedIn that actually generate inbound leads and revenue for your company. So this is it. The very first line, you should spend the most time on that very first line or two of your LinkedIn post because that is your hook. That is your 1 to 2, 3 seconds in your video. If you don't nail that, nothing else matters because they're not gonna get to the rest of your post the same way they wouldn't get to the rest of your video. So we've got to hook the audience in and then we'll talk about retention. In terms of the hook, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but here's a good rule of thumb. I'd try to make that first line 6 words or less. Make it punchy. It needs to be both intriguing and like stop me in the scroll, kind of like, whoa, what's happening here? Maybe it's a start to a story. Maybe it's a really interesting how-to post. Like, here's how you do X, Y, and Z without having to do this. Or I quit my full-time job to start my own business. Any of these types of hooks are going to clearly indicate what this post is about, but also create enough intrigue and punchiness that it stops them in the scroll and gets them to say, I have to see how this ends. It creates a curiosity gap from this is what I know, but this is what I want to know, and I've got a ton of curiosity in between. Now from there, we do want to strategically use line breaks, which means just don't bunch up big paragraphs throughout your post because it's just harder on the eyes. When it's broken down into different segments, and I'm not saying you need to break down every 6 words into a new line, but just don't bulk a lot of things together. For list, this can work if you're listing out certain things, but for the most part, avoid big paragraphs. But from here on out, we really want to think about how do we retain the audience? So it's almost like you want to embed mini hooks throughout the text post, throughout the copy, just like we would in a video. For example, and you may not even know this or may not have thought about this, but I hooked you in the beginning with the actual hook of the video. Then I told you there was going to be a sneaky little trick I use that I'll show you at the end. And even just a little bit earlier, I told you I was going to show you how to create high performing text posts on LinkedIn. So I'm embedding these hooks throughout the video the same way you'd want to do in a text post. You got to keep people engaged. And of course, you want to think about who am I talking to? What is my message? What is the value? How am I either educating, inspiring, or edutaining? And ultimately, what's the purpose of the post? Am I trying to drive more high level awareness? Am I trying to drive people through a CTA to a specific action? Just get clear on what you're trying to accomplish with the post. So which type of content works best on LinkedIn? All 3 of them. Moving on from content to now everything you need to know about the LinkedIn algorithm. And really what this is understanding how the platform and the audience there prioritizes content, how it gets distributed, and then how you can take advantage of this. LinkedIn has a social graph versus the interest-based graph. What I mean by that is this. If you look at TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, they are all interest-based algorithms. Meaning this, you're scrolling on the feed and you probably notice this happening, and you start watching or consuming and engaging with content of a certain type. Let's just say, for example, you see a video on football and you watch the video. Maybe you watch it halfway through or 75% of the way through, or maybe all the way through. What that interest-based graph is gonna do, it's gonna read the type of content that you consume, that you watch, and that you engage with, and save and share and all that good stuff. And it's gonna try to show you more things that it thinks you're interested in. So when you watch a video or two on football, guess what you're gonna start to see more in your feed? Football. So that's the interest-based graph. And so again, with LinkedIn, they have a social graph. So sure, it depends on the content and what you engage and watch, but it's much more based on who you're connected to, who you engage with, who you message, because what it's trying to do is socially bring people together as a part of a community. So when you're scrolling through LinkedIn, it's less about what type of content that you'd want to see and what you're interested in, and it's more about who would you want to see content from. Which is why strategic engagement on the platform matters. Where on TikTok or YouTube, if you engage or not engage, it really doesn't affect the performance of your posts. On LinkedIn, if you just post content and don't show up there and actually engage with other people and creators, you're not gonna find success. Unless you're a celebrity that people just already know and they're gonna flock to your content. But if you're new and starting off on the LinkedIn platform, or you're trying to get more traction and build momentum, you need to embed yourself in the community. And ideally, you're engaging with other creators, because those are the people that are going to engage with your content back. And then also you've set time aside to engage with your ideal clients, because that's going to get those people in your feed. And when you post content, you're going to show up in their feed. But here's some of the things that we actually do know from LinkedIn that do affect your content and how it performs on the platform. We know that if someone clicks the see more button in your post, which means they're going to read more of the text and consume more of the content, that is going to give your post a boost. That means that someone saw your post in the feed and there was something interesting enough where they wanted to see the rest of that post, which is why that first line hook matters so much. We know that dwell time is a real thing with the LinkedIn algorithm, meaning how long do you sit and dwell on an actual piece of content, which is why depth matters. It can't be surface level. Here's a motivational sentence, or here's a, hey, go check out this article. Not gonna work. Not enough depth, not enough dwell time. Plus people don't wanna leave LinkedIn and typically go somewhere else anyways. We obviously know that engagement matters, likes, comments, shares, all that good stuff. That's gonna help promote your content if people are doing that. And then even conversation depth is something that they've came out and said that this actually helps boost your post to more people, which is the difference between all of your comments being, good job, way to go, nice post, awesome, agreed, versus people actually having conversations in the comment section of your post. So now when you're thinking about what type of content you're gonna make on LinkedIn, you're thinking about, will this drive conversation? Is there something here that's a unique perspective or point of view that maybe some people will disagree with? Maybe some people will have a different take on. That is good. That will drive more conversation depth. Okay, now it's time to share with you that sneaky little tactic that I promised I would that helps me generate inbound leads on LinkedIn the same day I make the post. The first thing you're gonna do is select the best piece of content that you've got that's tailored to your target audience and the people you want to attract, your dream clients. Make sure it speaks directly to them. And that could be a story, picture, text post, that could be a video, it could be an educational how to do something. As long as it's focused on your dream clients, I'm cool with it. And then at the end of the post, we're gonna drop a strategic CTA or call to action that would look something like this. And I'll break this down into 4 parts. The first one being call out your dream client and address the problem. So hey, if you're a 7-figure business owner and you're posting content on LinkedIn, but it's not generating real results and revenue for your company, moving on to number 2 now, which is empower them. Do yourself a favor and don't go the next 3 months putting out all this content, putting in all this effort and not having it generate real results. Moving on to number 3, offer them the dream deal, which is anything that's low commitment but high value. So to continue this example, I've called out my audience and stated the problem. I'm empowering them now. Hey, do yourself a favor. Don't go the next 3 months not getting results. It's a waste of time. Now I'm gonna offer them the dream deal, which is, hey, let me do a 15-minute LinkedIn audit. I'm gonna show you your gaps, your opportunities, and why you're not generating revenue on the platform, and I'll give you my LinkedIn blueprint to go with it. At the end, I'll show you a couple ways. If you do want to work with me, awesome. If you don't, it's perfectly fine. You got value and you're good to go. See how it's low commitment, but it's still high value? That's the key. And then part 4 is give them permission. And this is just a clear call to action. DM me now with the word LinkedIn audit. Reach out to me here, fill out this form, go to the here, whatever it is, right? Could be a lot of different things. Now there's a lot of different ways to structure your call to action on LinkedIn. This is one example and it's a more direct example. There's also subtle CTAs that we can put in there too. And I'll get into all that in a different video. So a few different things on this. 1, don't overdo these. You don't need to do this in every single post. It just comes across as too salesy. You're probably doing one of these maybe once a week. The rest of your post, just let the value speak for itself. Let the value of your content and the fact that you're consistently giving be your call to action. Or use subtle call to actions that people don't even know you're doing it. but it's still called out. And another thing here, and this is one of the biggest mistakes I see on LinkedIn, where people try to go too hard and fast for the business. Now, there are some cases where hard and fast is but for example, you can't say something like, oh, the market's changing and everyone should pay attention to X, Y, and Z. By the way, reach out to me if you need help with X, Y, and Z. Not gonna work. You can't provide some weak little tip with no substance or depth and then expect people to be inspired to take action to want to reach out to you. It's not going to work. 90% of this is how good is the actual post. The CTA is just making it clear and giving them permission to reach out to you. And you've got to earn the right through your actual value in your post, but through posting consistently. The more you build your brand, the more you have the ability to, when you want to ask for something or be more clear with your call to action, you can do it because you've built trust and credibility and people are fans of your content. You've given so much over the course of months and years that when you ask, they're like, heck yeah, I'll do that. Versus when you first get on the platform and all you're doing is asking and people are like, who is this selfish person? They came to this business community and all they're thinking about is themselves. And the last thing is, in order to actually pull this off, they're probably going to go to your profile if they haven't seen your content before, or maybe if they're curious or before they take that step for the CTA. So make sure that your profile is built out to where it's a client attracting profile. I've gone through this in other videos, so feel free to check those out. There'll be one at the end here, but you need to make sure your profile is set up to convert. The messaging's clear, you've got social proof on there, all that good stuff. And now it is time for Q&A. These are your questions and I've got the answers. First question, what LinkedIn metrics should I use to track and measure the success of my content there? So here it is. The first 2 to 3 months, really the only thing that you should be looking at is engagement and feedback. And what I mean by that is, how are people receiving the content? Are you getting comments and likes and occasional DMs from people that are in your target audience, the dream clients that you want to attract? And are they saying things like, this was really helpful. Thanks for sharing that. I've never seen something like this before. Hey, I was struggling to figure that out and you just helped me solve that. Thank you. I just went out and took action on this because of your post. That's what we would call qualitative feedback. So I'm not expecting things to go viral in the first couple months. I'm not expecting to win 7 new clients in 30 days. But what I am expecting and do want to see is, how is our audience reacting? How is the LinkedIn audience reacting to the content that we're putting out there? Is it resonating with them? Is it clicking with them? Do we need to adjust our hooks, our messaging, our format? I'm really looking at the quality of content, assuming that we're posting consistently. And I'm just trying to gauge, are we right? Do we need to adjust? Are we in the sweet spot? And what you'll see after that is you'll see the quantitative data start to rise, meaning more likes, comments, shares, all of that good stuff. Once we get past that, I measure my LinkedIn success by inbound leads, pipeline addition, clients won, and revenue. It's as simple as that. Now, if you're wondering, well, how do I track that? Well, when someone books a call, whether they land on our website, from LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, whatever it is, the form that we have for them to book the call, and you guys should have this on all your forms too, there's a question on there that says, how did you first discover us? And it's open-ended. So they need to put in there, oh, I found I watched your videos on LinkedIn, or I actually saw one of your YouTube videos and then came over to LinkedIn and I've been following your content for the last 6 months. Now, then we would also ask on the actual sales call and get more depth and clarity around that. What was the buyer journey like? Why would we want to know that? Because we want to know what is working. What is not working? What should we double down on? What should we maybe look at not doing anymore? The more we can understand about how our customers consume content and how they buy, the more we can tailor things to get them into us. Next question. On LinkedIn, is it better to post on your company page or your personal page? Love this question, and here's what you need to know. Your personal page is going to get about 5 to 10 times the reach and impressions and engagement as your company page does. And if you're a 7 to 8 figure business, you have one company page, right? How many employees do you have? So your ability to actually scale your message and your brand as a company is much more valuable from an individual personal brand standpoint, assuming that it all aligns with the company brand. So here's what I'm going to tactically suggest, and hang in here with me. I wouldn't look to start with the LinkedIn company page. What I would rather have you do is start a company YouTube channel or a company podcast, where maybe you have prospects and customers on the podcast and it becomes partly a BD strategy as well. The YouTube channel becomes, maybe it's you, maybe it's another executive, it's other employees that can get brought in. You can create a show or series out of it. And the reason I say that is a couple things. One, now you're doing video, which is going to dominate all channels over the next several years. It already is. 2, you're creating a content machine because you're creating all this content that you can then break down to other channels and other formats and platforms. And 3, you just take all the content that you create from the YouTube channel, from the podcast, and you break that down and post to the company page. And then your team or yourself that participates in the YouTube content or the podcast, that ends up fueling a lot of the personal profile post, a lot of the personal brand post. So it's a little bit of a mindset adjustment where it's like, all right, what should we post on the company page? And then what should we post on the personal page? No. Let's build a content strategy, a video strategy. Let's create a bunch of high quality content that our customers want to hear about. And then let's distribute it to different places, such as the LinkedIn company page, the LinkedIn personal page. Now, of course, you want to create specific content just for LinkedIn, just for the company page. But this is going to give you a foundation to really build off of. Because ideally, as a business owner, as a CEO, the executive, you're leading the charge. You should be out there posting on your personal page, no doubt about it. And yes, someone from the company should be running the company page. But when the company page is getting significantly less reach, and we know this because people want to engage with people, and personal brand building, especially from a business standpoint, is at an all-time high, why would you not take advantage of that? Okay, last question. I've been posting on LinkedIn and I haven't seen inbound leads or new clients yet. What do I do? You make better content. Now, there could be a situation where you haven't been giving it enough time, you haven't posted long enough. There could be a situation where you're not engaging enough on the platform, you're not showing up there, you're just posting content and walking away. That's not gonna work on LinkedIn. But a lot of times it really does come down to how good the content is. And I'm talking about the hook in the first line. How do you embed mini hooks and value throughout the post to drive up retention? Do you have subtle call to actions or maybe direct call to actions from time to time where you're taking people to specific places? Are you leveraging the posts that are working best on LinkedIn, picture post with a story that ties back into your business? Are you leveraging the X factor on LinkedIn, which is video content, to build deeper levels of trust and credibility with your audience? And I love comparing this to getting fit. If you were like, hey, I want abs, I'd be like, cool, you need to eat really good and you need to stay active and work out. And there's probably some specific things and tactical things you need to do in there to actually achieve that. And you might be like, oh, I don't really want to eat healthy. I don't want to give up the burger and fries. I don't want to give up this. I don't want to work out 5 days a week. Then I'd be like, cool, then you're not going to have abs. Right? So there's got to be a trade-off here to say you want better results from your content, then you need better content. If you don't know how to create better performing content, then you hire somebody that does. The next 7 seconds is a promotion from Impacts Marketing. We help you generate video content that wins you clients and generates real revenue for your business. So tactically, if I was sitting down with you right now and this was where you're at, you're creating content on LinkedIn, but it's not performing or producing real results, there's only 3 places to look. It's 1, your content. How good is it? 2 is your profile. Is it a client attracting profile, or is it bare or unclear? Your messaging's off, you're not talking to actually your dream client, you're more generic. And 3, what's your engagement, connection, and messaging strategy on the platform? Chances are if you're not generating real results, you're missing something in 1 or more of those buckets. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and check out this next video on LinkedIn that I created. It goes into a lot of other areas on LinkedIn that I didn't necessarily cover in this video, but that are gonna be highly valuable if you're trying to grow your brand and win clients on the platform. Appreciate you being here, and we'll see you next time.